everyone. In this episode of NEECTalks, we have Joseph, master's in with a master's in security, cybersecurity engineering. Sorry, directly from GitHub Security Lab. Thank you very much for.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. So, Joseph, first off, you took your degree in Imperial College. Could you tell us a little bit about how it influenced your career path?
Yeah, I think both my university degrees gave me a network. They also gave me a chance to understand more about the technology subjects like software engineering. And when it comes to cybersecurity, I got exposed to a wide variety of lessons like forensics, intelligence, risk, penetration testing, for me to discover more what I like, what I don't like, have a chance to do like a research on that. And of course, get to know people that are now friends that also work in technology. I think this is the main subject, the main reason that I went to uni.
So a lot of networking.
A lot of networking.
Well, this is maybe a follow-up question, but what led you to pursue, I think, what led you to pursue a career in cybersecurity? What was about it that you liked it so much?
I loved cybersecurity from a teenager. Okay. This is because there was always this thing that you could be creative with in a technological aspect, and you could hack it, but in the same way you do that to save someone, you save people. So it's all this creativity and all these opportunities to also help. As a teenager, I was helping my neighborhood, little shops, and then slowly companies during my internships, and then finally a full career in security.
What is the main creativity aspect of it? Because I honestly don't understand. I would like to know.
The exploits that someone is using to hack something, but also the ways that something can be hacked has a lot of creativity. Think a simple example of social engineering. This might sound a bit bad, but let's say that we do this for a training purpose. If we try to social engineer the university students here in the Technical University of Lisbon, I can send an email to every student here in Lisbon and say something like, click to see your exam marks. This might be creative, but it might not be very creative. But if my task is to show the phishing success I have as an attacker to the Technical University of Lisbon, maybe I can get very creative to do so.
It's a little bit scary. Okay, and could you give a little bit of an overview of what you do in a GitHub Security Lab?
Sure, yeah. The GitHub Security Lab is a team of security experts with the mission to secure the open source software that we all depend on. And of course, to inspire the community to secure the open source software. The lab has some initiatives, such as, for example, creating education material for people to create research by trying to attack some projects, but not to attack them in a bad way, but in a good way, to secure them.
So you're testing their resistance to different creative attacks.
Exactly. In their software.
Okay.
Nothing on the social engineering aspect I said before. It was more like on the teenage years, that one. So yes, the lab is focused on open source projects by researching software. At the same time, we deliver talks like this one in Sinfo 31. And of course, we produce material like videos, a game recently, to help everybody learn about software security around the world.
This is a question out of curiosity, but what do you think is the main threat to security in the environment? We have the internet environment, which is probably the big one, massive. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest threat to people's privacy?
I think that stats show that the user credentials are the biggest problem. We have a lot of credentials being exposed. Credentials are passwords or secret tokens. This can give the chance for an attacker to penetrate in a place that they shouldn't be able to penetrate with the privileges of the person that they impersonate. This is the number one problem. And the second problem that this brings is supply chain attacks by having some dependencies, projects. So this opens the door, as open source software is so big and is everywhere, from the car we drive to the fridge we have. These components are highly likely to have open source software. This opens the door to attacks and, as you say, privacy leaks in all these areas, in those two ways, supply chain and credential leaks.
Okay. Could you share some security initiatives you're currently focusing on in the lab?
Yeah, so the lab is producing some high quality research by right now exploiting some research targets. But me personally, I have created the Secure Code game, which is a game for software developers interested to learn more about software security the practical way. It's in an environment they are used to, it's in the text editor, and they can try to secure some code that is functional but is vulnerable.
So everyone has access to this game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's at gh.io/secure code.
At the end of the episode, we'll put the link so people can try. So you can test your code and see how bulletproof basically.
It's not your code. The game is using code that we produced. We give it to the players, and the players can run some unit tests to make sure that the code is functional after they changed it.
Oh, okay.
And why they changed it? They changed it to secure it against our exploits that we try to show why it's exploitable, how it's exploitable. And the message we try to pass is that functional code can be, of course, vulnerable to attacks.
Yes.
And we offer hints, we offer model solutions, we open the door for community contributions. The game is going very well. So far, we have around 4,500 players that are developers. And qualitative-wise, they say very nice things online about the game.
That's very nice. Yeah, how did you come up with the idea?
The idea was inspired by all the things that we were hearing from our community, such as that they have difficulty to learn about software security, in the sense that the trainings were video-based, or the trainings were not really on the environment they were used to, with a short feedback loop. Okay. They wanted something practical, that they could direct, they could fix, they could see if it's fixable, they could be creative, back to creativity, see if something they are doing is passing the level, not passing the level, and learn in that environment. It was an easy way to do it, given the GitHub products such as code spaces. Every player has 60 hours for free every month to play the game online without installing anything. There is GitHub Advanced Security with CodeQL, which is a static analysis testing tool. What it means is that when players push the solution, they can have this tool running behind the scenes and tell them if they have some alerts or if it's clean.
Okay. Where do you see the future of this? How do you see the future of the game evolve? Mm-hmm. And what would your dream be of what would your dream be for this game in the
Great
future?
Question. When we started with this game, it was an experiment more than a year ago. Mm-hmm. And we saw that there are some interest in the community to contribute in that game. So the second season that we published recently is mostly community contributed. So in the future, I envision a future that this community is giving more and more levels in the game, but levels that are also following the current state of open source security, such as if something is a trend that we see, or if something is in the news because of a recent data breach, then one of the community members can provide a level so that other players and other community members can learn directly from the game about it and go in their companies, in their projects, and secure it straight away.
So you're basically contributing for free to the security of everyone and an open source environment.
Exactly, and this was one of the quotes from one of our team community members, Denise. Denise said that by contributing in the secure code game, he felt that he contributed in the open source software.
Yes. This made me thinking to myself. I think there's some very creative attacks, and don't you think that's going to be a challenge going further on in the levels in the game? It gets to a point where it's such complex levels, or such complex attacks from hackers or whatever. You think the game can teach in a reliable way to defend against those more complex, more advanced attacks?
Great question. I will say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that these very big complex attacks can be broken down into smaller components that have gone wrong in the first place. And no, in the sense that the real world is so complicated, the real software is millions of lines of code, therefore it's difficult to make someone simulate or be in the real environment. However, we try to provide something smaller, gamified, that people can still learn in a smaller way. On the same sense, imagine you are doing a driving test. You learn as much as possible and you pass that test.
That doesn't prepare you to the real world.
Exactly. You are going to drive for 50, 60 more years. You are going to see things that you haven't seen in your training.
But it gives you the basics.
Exactly.
Okay, that's okay. What are some security tips, key tips you offer to developers here for?
I believe that the most developers I see, when they code, they are thinking that the users will gonna give them what they expect to give them. For example, you ask for an input to be my username, and they assume that users are gonna give them usernames. Among users, there are people that are not gonna give them usernames. These open the door for a lot of attacks in the past years. In general, unsanitized user input is a vector of so many vulnerabilities. If we go one level higher in this kind of attack, some developers try to create their own defensing system by block listing some of the things attackers can do. But then this opens the door for creativity and they can bypass it there. This is one of the things. So the tip there is to follow the best practice, and the best practice is to not reinvent the wheel, is to sanitize all inputs based on a community proof library or something that is security proof, that every security specialist that has seen it has approved it as secure.
It's been tested, used.
Exactly. On the other hand, let's take another area of attacks now. We can go back to the credentials that we spoke. There is a lot of single point of failure seen. For example, when you don't have 2FA enabled, someone can find your password from a different breach. And if you are reusing the same password, it's highly likely that your project is gonna get compromised. That's why GitHub had this strong initiative on two-factor authentication, making sure that projects and developers are enforced to have multi-factor authentication. And again, this opens also, this is exactly what opened the door for supply chain attacks. So with one initiative, we secured two different types
two different
problems.
Yep. Sorry.
I think these were the main one for developers I could think about.
Me thinking against myself, I think for everyone in the phone, and we have, for example, a website you access multiple times, it can store your password. And I think Opera, Chrome, there's Microsoft Edge, you can have choice to guard your password there, as well as credentials for almost everything, and Apple connects to that, and then there's a whole chain of everything connected to each other. how vulnerable is that environment?
So now I'm speaking as myself.
Okay.
My opinion is that people should have password managers because it's a good practice to have a lot of different passwords for everything they access. Like for example, website A has its own password, website B has its own password. This way you fail in isolation. But as you mentioned, there is some interconnection between these. Like for instance, you use one password to access all.
Yeah.
There is this trade-off you take as a person, but on the other hand, imagine if you just had 2 or 3 passcodes and 2 or 1 of them gets compromised, then you open the door for so much attacks. There is nothing perfect in security. There is nothing that is 100% secure, but every time we try to make it as secure as possible and make the attackers to spend more money, more time, and more effort in attacking something.
Creativity.
For instance, and creativity. For instance, they can go to this password manager that protects our passwords in a very strong way, and they are gonna need a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of talent / creativity to hack that. While they could go after an individual website that might be a small company that doesn't have really a security budget and get our password from there. There's always a compromise and a risk we take, but after all, we try to make the best choice for our own security by storing the password for convenience versus retyping it.
Okay. Can you share some insights in some projects, upcoming projects you're working in GitHub Security Lab?
I can't give you the exact targets that the team is like trying to actively find vulnerabilities on, but these are open source software with a lot of impact so that we can secure more and more people in the world of open source. And personally, I have an interest in AI. With our own product, GitHub Copilot, I'm trying to find ways to help developers around the world to secure their code using Copilot, because this way they are gonna shift security left. They are gonna start from security instead of remember security at the end when the code is ready to be shipped in a product.
Okay. What do you see as some major challenges? I think we've talked a little bit about this before but major challenges in cybersecurity. So you talked about supply chain and
credentials.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to,
I think that the major challenges are those, but there is something else that affects them. It's the AI boom. For instance, at GitHub, we had 300 million contributions in the past year, and we see an increasing number of contributions on AI projects. Therefore, we believe that the current state of open source security is moving more and more on the AI space,
AI spectrum,
which is natural. At the same time, some of the challenges, and let's say that some of the things that we are doing good at, all these efforts of the Security Lab and of course other initiatives around the world, like the OpenSSF, which is a community that brings big companies together to secure the open source, are helping to raise more awareness among developers about the challenges in security. For instance, we have an increase in the CV numbers, which means that more and more developers are asking for security identifiers for the vulnerabilities recognized.
Okay.
But this remains an open challenge in security and in open source, of course, to raise more awareness. And another one is the lack of talent for cybersecurity. We know that there is one security expert for every 100 software developers. This is a gap that with AI we try to bridge. Like for instance, you can use Copilot to write secure code. Of course, You should follow best practices like testing all your code, including the code that has been suggested to you. But this gap has been minimized due to AI, of course, and AI coding assistants.
Okay. Yeah. In the AI spectrum, where you've talked about it a little bit, AI, but how will it help or will it jeopardize cybersecurity? I mean, AI. Will it? Is everything going to be a lot safer? Is it going to help hackers to find even more creative ways to attack networks? What's your take on this? Or
Every technology has
good and bad,
dual
of course.
purpose, good and bad, as you mentioned. For instance, let's take email. Email is used for us to speak and organize this, but it's also used from malicious people around the world that are trying to actively social engineer people through phishing. Every technology has this dual usage. For AI, it's common and expected that it's gonna be also used from people with malicious intent. But for us, that we have good intentions, we can be helped with using it, because AI is the technology that can go out and take all the security knowledge, distill it, and bring it to our fingertips so that we can have it when we create software, when we try to fix security vulnerabilities. And in general, this was something that wasn't here before, that we expect to help to bring a superpower to the hands of every developer from the beginning of the software engineering process, instead of having security bolted on at the end of the cycle.
So information management, basically, almost like management from, you have big data and AI can really filter it all and say, and help you. Is that what you?
This is the training of AI in the beginning. For instance, you want to train a model to learn about cybersecurity. We are not talking about Copilot now. Let's talk about any other LLM, large language model, that we try to train. If we want to train this model to learn about security, we are gonna provide a large data set to this model to learn about security. It could be books, it could be videos, it could be tutorials about security. All of this information is gonna be part of the training, but at the end, the user of that model will benefit from that knowledge. And this is what happens with GitHub Copilot, that is trained in all publicly available code. When we are coding, we are getting suggestions that are strong suggestions, very good suggestions. The data show this.
Okay.
At the end of 2023, we have 60% of all code committed to GitHub being Copilot or AI contributed. 60% for popular languages like Java.
It's almost like in a year. In
a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow. Could you tell us a bit of how you envision the future of cybersecurity? Where is it heading?
I think this is gonna be a big thing. The fact that developers can have AI in their fingertips from the beginning of the project, of their coding lifecycle. I think this is the major one with GitHub Copilot. In general, if we speak about the whole space, my personal opinion is that there are opportunities for AI in the cybersecurity space, such as, for threat intelligence, you can have AI helping you to prioritize which intelligence you want to use out of all the options. For malware analysis, you can have pattern recognition. For penetration testing, you can generate your scripts, or you can get the help of AI to get very specific on what is the vulnerability version and how to exploit that version exactly.
And how to protect it as well?
And of course to protect it as well, yeah. All these things are initiatives to protect something.
Of course.
For example, the threat intel I told you about in the beginning, the malware analysis is the same. If we think about SecOps, which stands for security operations, you can have some policy automation that is AI driven. All these activities are on our side, the good side, the developer side.
I was remembering a Star Wars reference, the Force. This is again a quick question. Is there gonna be an end to this? Is there gonna be a time where everything is 100% secure? If you've discovered all the attacks possible, AI will help with this, of course. You think there'll be an end to this, or there's always be gonna someone with a new attack, new type of attack?
You know, software is growing every day. Every company around the world is a technology company. More and more companies are becoming more and more technologic. This opens the door for more exploitation, more cybersecurity knowledge, and of course, more attacks. At the same time, we have human nature that progresses in an accelerated way.
Exponential almost.
Exponential, while security is following linearly behind. So I think that there's always gonna be that gap between something that is being created and securing it, because this is how it is in our life. We have something new that we are lacking maybe the means or regulation to secure it or the knowledge to secure it. And at the same time, you say, will everything at some point be 100% secure? I don't think so, because exactly by the current state, we don't promise 100% security. We promise that by following the best practices, you minimize to the minimum the chances of getting exploited, hacked, breached. Never zero.
To end here our episode, you're a frequent speaker. You've attended global conferences. What is the main message you aim to convey during these talks?
I think it's bi-directional. So when you are in a conference, there are also people there that have opinions about our products. They have their own problems, challenges that they want to ask about. It's always a two-way thing. The message that I try to convey when it comes to my AI talks is that we have an opportunity to shift left our security efforts more and more by using the power of AI. There are use cases that we can use to benefit from AI. And the response I'm getting, because it's two-way, is that in general, AI is here. Today, in my talk, I asked how many of you are using ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot, in general AI when you code, and every single hand in a room of 180 people was up. So AI is here, AI is used every day, and it's normal for people to have questions about it on how to maximize the usage of AI. And in general, people around the world love GitHub, love the brand, love the products, and we take their feedback to improve even more.
Okay. If you could leave one mark in the cybersecurity world, what would it be?
Personally, I would love to be someone that helps people to educate themselves on cybersecurity. So a mark will be that a developer who now knows about cybersecurity knows so because of some of my work or my videos or my secure code game, or they have seen my talk. If I manage to educate / help / inspire, contribute in one person's success, I think that's a mark that I leave.
Well, thank you very much, Joseph.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for watching this episode. We are on YouTube, Spotify, so check out all our episodes, and thank you very much, Joseph.
Thank you too.